Abate la rimette dentro, esce Radu, porta vuota, gol! Gol! Abbiamo battuto il gatto nero, li abbiamo battuti tutti Alessio, grande Alessio, è bella la vita, lava quella zolla Alessio, lavala quella zolla Alessio, lavala!
Hello everyone and welcome to another episode of the SempreMilan podcast. I'm your host Ollie Fisher, joined once again by Anthony Torgrud.
What's up, guys? Glad to be back. It's going to be a fun week. Glad I don't have to host this time. I could just sit back and relax and let Ollie rant away. So, yeah, you can find me on Twitter at Torgrud45. We got Madison with us as well.
Yeah, it will probably be much more organized this week, and you won't have to read off of every step of each topic. Yeah. But you guys can go ahead and follow me on Twitter at Madison_DT.
Yeah, what can I say? You can follow the most natural podcast host on Twitter at Ollie Fisher. No, you did a good job, AJ. I think you've been a bit hard on yourself there. I think you did. Yeah,
it was once I went off note, it was easier for me. I kept looking back at my phone to scroll, and then finally just F it, turn the phone off. And
it's just hard to read and be like, okay, now I have to talk about this, and then start talking.
Right.
Yeah.
It's much more easier when the discussion flows. Don't get me wrong, but no, it was good. And since I wasn't here last week to say it, thanks to Matt for coming on. It was a really good episode. Always cool when we managed to get him on. And you guys, I believe, did you all predict us to win the upcoming two games?
We did, yeah.
And it happened.
I think we predicted a 3-2 win too, right?
Well, no. I predicted 3-0 for the Spal win, which was correct. And then we all predicted 2-1 for the next game, which was correct for a while, and then we got a little hairy there. But
winning by a goal, though.
Yeah, exactly. I'll take it. The streak continues.
Yeah, it was good. I mean, we've won 3 games in a week for the first time in what feels like forever. And there's just a whole lot more general positivity around the club at the moment, I think it'd be fair to say. I think in my preview for the Spal game, I put 2-0, not 3-0. I thought we might make a few more changes to the starting 11 than what we actually did. It might take us a bit of time to get that first goal, but no, we played really well in that first half. We just sort of went out all guns blazing and said, let's get a couple of early goals, and then, we can sort of sit back and coast out the rest of the game. We don't have to tire our legs out too much, and that's in the end exactly what happened. I mean, when you looked at the squad that Spal named and didn't see Petagna there, I thought, well, they don't have any goal threat then at all, really. Although just before we started recording this, they've just been to Atalanta and won 2-1, so they've done us a massive favour there as well. So they're in.
2 former Milan players on the score sheet.
I didn't know that Velotti was part of the Primavera. I had no idea about that. I knew Petagna, but not Velotti. But fair play to both of them for getting on the score sheet. I suppose if we go there and lose 5-0, it's only right that they're going nick a 2-1 win. But no, it was a good performance. I would describe it as probably a professional performance against a team that's like bottom of the league. It sets up a game against Torino, but Piontek, it looked like he might be having a little bit of a resurgence.
Yeah, he looked really well, and it's something that every single person on this podcast, the 3 of us, and every guest we ever had has said that competition makes people work harder, makes them play better. Zlatan came in, 38 years old, immediately starts over him, makes an impact in his first 2 matches. Then Piontek gets another start after being benched. And what does he do? Goal and assist. So it's just that little bit of competition. We see Castillejo getting a chance now to actually take a spot from Suso, and he's had incredible performances ever since. You just keep seeing it from every single player when they get that competition. Now it's either the person who was getting replaced starts doing better when they get their time, or the other person just runs away with it, like we're seeing with Theo Hernandez taking over Rodriguez. And it's fantastic. That's a great thing to have. I mean, competition and depth is always a good problem. Or I guess not even really a problem, but a good thing to have going on. And happy to see Piontek look good on the sheets. Maybe it raises his stock. Maybe we keep him as a third striker because Zlatan's obviously a short-term solution. But regardless, I was happy to see it and happy for him. And it was a good game.
Yeah, it was one of those that the media basically said it all in the build-up to the game that Piontek was going to be starting. So a lot of people were saying this is kind of like maybe his final chance. It could be like a last chance saloon for him to prove that he deserves to stay here. that he can fight for his spot and that he's willing to do so. A goal and an assist. Was it enough for you, Maddie, or do you still think he's on his way out this month?
I still think he's on his way out. I mean, just because you play one good game does not mean you're back. I mean, he played 16 good games last season, and we're already ready to throw him out after, I guess, 2 half seasons, so technically 1 full season, So 1 game is not going to change anything.
No, he took his goal well. I will say that. He timed his run well. It's sort of the typical centre forward that you would kind of expect, that sort of movement, that sort of finish. And the assist was pretty good as well. I thought that he would shoot in that situation to try and, get himself a brace, and that makes him look even better. But to pick his head up and find Castillejo with that pass, and then it was a gorgeous finish from Castillejo, who we will come on to. Matt, who was on last week, asked a pretty interesting question. He said, if Pioli sticks with a 4-4-2, doesn't that mean that Milan require at least 3 strikers in the squad, and that could make Piontek useful? I think if you're playing a 4-4-2, it's good to have 4 players in the squad who can play as a striker. You might have 3 out-and-out number 9s in there, or you might have a couple of what you'd say centre forwards and a couple of wide forwards, like you could say Leao is. I don't know. Do you think there's some value to at least giving him until the end of the season, or is it just a case of cut ties now and try to get someone in before the end of the window?
Yeah, I think it is valuable to keep him. Obviously, we paid a lot of money for him, and we want to get our money's worth out of it. But you could argue we did, with what he did for us in the second half of the last season. Obviously, the first half of this season, not much has gone right, but we need an extra striker. I agree with you. 3 out-and-out number 9s and maybe an attacking mid or a winger that is able to slot in as a striker as well would be important for a 4-4-2. But at the same time, if the money comes, Tottenham obviously needs a striker in Harry Kane being out for, I believe he's even going to miss the Euros now. So they obviously need someone if they want to keep their hopes alive for the Champions League race. And, Piontek's one of the few guys available. If the money comes, then yeah, I say we take that as well. So really, that's what it depends on to me. Not so much his performances. We know where he's at, but it just depends on if we get an offer that's good enough.
I don't think we're naive enough as well to not have someone lined up for if a bid comes in. I would hope that what we don't end up doing is waiting for a club to come in with a panic bid towards the last few days of the window, like Spurs might come in with, a loan option to buy 35 million euros, something like that. And we pull the trigger and say, yeah, you can go, and we don't have anyone to come in, because then we're just an Ibrahimovic. Remember, he is 38. We're just an Ibra injury away from looking a lot thinner squad depth-wise. So something for the management to consider, I guess.
But we have the youth players. I mean, I know, like, the way we've been playing lately, there's probably a 15% chance that we can get Champions League, So you don't want to, if Ibra gets injured, you don't want to rely on Daniel Maldini and Leao to get us a Champions League. But, I mean, I would love Champions League. I'm going to be honest with you guys. I don't think we're going to qualify. I think it's going to happen like every other year. We're going to get close, and nothing's going to happen. Just because I don't think our team is there yet. I don't think that we are playing to the level. I think that the past 3 games, we've looked really well, but we haven't beaten the teams that we need to beat to get Champions League. They've been losing. The stars might align. But, I mean, I don't know. I think it'd be worth selling Piontek for 35 million if we can get it.
Yeah, if we can make our money back, then I would say that's fair, especially given that sort of the relationship seems to have kind of broken down with the fans a little bit as well. And I must say, when Suso came on in that cup game, he got jeered by the crowd. I thought that was a bit poor, like before he'd even touched the ball. Funnily enough, the Curva, who are normally the ones who hammer players, who aren't perceived to be putting in the effort, they were the ones who were actually chanting Suso's name, and he acknowledged that after the game. So that was a little bit, toxic in and amongst everything. But it's funny you should mention the youth players. We had 3 in particular who were on the bench for that game, that cup game. There was Brescianini, who's the Primavera captain. I think he's already scored something like 8 or 9 goals in the league for the Primavera this season from central midfield. So he's having a great season. We had Daniel Maldini, and we had Matteo Gabbia, who of course has been part of the senior setup, but he's still only 19. So, you can consider him on the fringes at the moment. And we only saw Matteo Gabbia come on for the last 8 minutes, despite us having the game wrapped up with half an hour to go. That frustrated me a little bit. Or what do you lads reckon? Do you think he was sort of protecting them and he's waiting for an even better situation to throw him into? Or was it a case of, not risking injury?
I don't think there's a better situation than 3-0 up in a cup match against the 20th place team in the league. So that's really the best case scenario to put in a youth player. One thing I think Pioli's done right the good majority of this season is the substitutions, and that wasn't the case in that game. There's really no reason not to bring him on. Obviously, we're biased because we want to see, we want to see Maldini come on and play. Who doesn't want to see that? We want to see Brescianini. We want to see Gabbia. Maybe it was a tactical decision. Who knows? Maybe he knew that was a time for him to try something for the league in the future, or switch it up a bit. I can't remember exactly who the substitutions were. I know he brought on
Suso came on for Castillejo.
Right.
Paqueta came on for
Bonaventura or
Bonaventura, yeah.
Bonaventura, yeah.
And then he shifted into midfield.
Yeah.
And Gabbia came on for Kaya.
Yeah. So, dude, I don't know if you heard me try and pronounce things last week.
Yeah, I've still not got my head around it. We've had a couple of native Swedish speakers who will remain unnamed tell us sort of how to say it, but I still can't really get my head around it, so I'm just going to call him Simon. But he had a good debut, speaking of which. He'd only trained with the team for 2 sessions at most, possibly 1. I don't know if he trained on the Monday that he signed. But he actually played a game for us. He got a competitive start for us before he'd done his press conference, because that was on Thursday after the game on the Wednesday. But he looked, albeit untested, but he looked good when he was called into action.
I liked him. I'm pleased with his performances in both the games. Obviously, he played in the Spal game, and he played who did we just play in? Udinese. he played from the start there too, and I liked him. Clearly, he is not the fastest player, but most defenders aren't. Kevin Lozani's a very fast man, and so he was able to beat our entire squad getting down the end. So I won't hold that against him, but his positioning was solid. His tackles were great. His interceptions were there. I think I saw him get really beat one time that wasn't just speed based, and that's okay. I'm not gonna hold one mistake to a player in their league debut for us, so that's fine. But yeah, it definitely seems like an upgrade on Musacchio. I'm happy with the move.
Yeah, it wasn't difficult.
Do you think it's do you guys feel bad for Musacchio?
Not really, no.
I do.
I don't know. I
do too. I mean, he hasn't been terrible, No. And
when he has, I think it's been a reflection of the right back having a dreadful game as well. And we saw Conte have a bad game against Udinese, and the communication wasn't quite there with Simon. And Lasagna exploited the gap between the fullback and centre back time and time again. And in that second half in particular, when we didn't have bodies back from midfield, it worked. They were basically through on goal twice out of situations where they shouldn't have been through on goal, but Donnarumma managed to bail us out. But yeah, Musacchio is a weird one now. I wonder what the future holds for him. We've been talking about maybe Suso leaving, Piontek leaving, Paqueta leaving. Nobody's mentioned Musacchio potentially leaving, even though he may have lost his starting spot, although he is injured.
I think, and so just to paint everyone a picture of Musacchio's Milan career, he was supposed to come in the January prior to his summer arrival. That was talked about for a while, but then the sale to the Chinese was a holdup, so it didn't happen. But he was agreed to come, and then he was either our first or second announced signing that summer. And then once he was announced, we're like, great, we finally have a real partner for Romagnoli. And then, surprise, we signed Bonucci. So then Musacchio became a bench player for an entire year to a club that he had agreed to join, 6 months prior in the previous season. A year goes by, Bonucci leaves, and he thinks, all right, get my time. Caldara comes in, where everyone, the whole fan base, the club, assumes that they're replacing Musacchio again. He's like, great, another season on the bench. Obviously, that didn't happen, and he played that season, and it wasn't the best season. And then this season, again, we were waiting for Caldara to come back. So he's always been underestimated no matter what. And that highlights his mistakes. When the fans want someone else on the pitch, it doesn't matter if you have a 6 out of 10 performance or a 10 out of 10 performance. You're going to get every single mistake is going to be highlighted and criticized. And, so I do feel bad for him. I'm not saying he deserves a starting spot because I think Simon's performances were justifiably good, So, but yeah, I feel bad for him, and if he's on his way out, I think he's been a humble, polite servant to the club who really put up with a lot of shit in his short tenure here and never complained about it. So I have no quarrels with him. I wish him the best.
I can only ever remember doing one interview of Musacchio's. I think he's kind of a quiet guy who just sort of gets on with it. I mean, obviously, we're looking at Rodriguez leaving now. Barini's already left. Those are two guys who came in that same summer, and they were sort of similar in the way that they've just got on with it despite having lost their place in the starting 11.
Mm-hmm.
I think with Rodriguez, he's obviously pushing because of the European Championships this year, and obviously he wants to play a big role for Switzerland in that, which is fair enough. I hope he gets his move as well, and we get a decent backup in. But yeah, Musacchio just kind of falls into that same group of stays very quiet. He doesn't let his agent leak anything out into the media. I don't even know who his agent is, which is a good sign. And yeah, he's just kind of getting on with it, and he's still getting regular game time. And we've all mentioned time and time again on this podcast that if you look at perhaps over the last 2 years when we've been playing our best football under Gattuso last season, the start of the 2019 calendar year when we went on that run of conceding, like 2 goals in the first 2 months of the season, we were up there with the best defences in Europe. That was done with a back 4 of Rodriguez, Romagnoli, Musacchio and Calabria. Those 4 just gelled, they clicked, they were talking, they were sticking to their roles, and it took us on, like I say, probably our best run of form in recent years. So you can't forget that either, really. But it'd be interesting to see what happens now with Caldara gone as well. We do feel like we're a bit thin on the ground still at centre back.
I just feel like we are in this habit of, at least in the past, since I've been paying attention heavily to Milan, that when a player plays bad, you toss him. I don't know what it was like before, the media got big and I started paying attention heavily like I do now, but it's just like we need some stability. If a player is playing bad, you don't keep them in for stability because the stability is going to get you relegated, but I still think at some point switching up players every season is not the way to go,
We need to decide on a core of players that we see as the ones leading us forward for the next 2 or 3 years, in my opinion. We've said it. Donnarumma's obviously in that. Romagnoli as captain, he's in that. Now you would consider Theo, Benacer, Leao. Those are the kind of players that you're looking to build around and say, okay, they're going to be here for the long run now. So you're putting in the places around, you're putting in the pieces around them. Sorry. I acknowledge that, not all pieces of a jigsaw go in simultaneously at once, and you are going to have to chop and change things. I look at the right side of our defence at the moment, and I'm still a little bit sceptical of that. That seems to be the area that teams constantly exploit. So we might need to address that. But I agree. Player turnover is never good for continuity. And I also don't think it really helps coaches either. I think sometimes our coaches are perhaps influenced by the media. The exception to that perhaps being Gattuso, who he stuck with the same players time and time again because he believed in them. Even when Suso was having bad form and stuff like that, he just kept putting them out there for reps.
Suso did not play nearly as bad last season as he's played this season.
What he did is usually started like a house on fire for the first half of the season. Then when the team got good, he was completely anonymous, which was good because it showed that we don't completely rely on him. But then also it was like, imagine if Suso was playing well as well, then we'd be even better in theory. But yeah, he seems to drop off a cliff after Christmas to Suso, and I don't know. I just can't believe that we were in a position over the summer where we apparently rejected bids in the 30 millions for him, and now we're looking at offloading him for 20 mil to a team like Getafe or maybe Sevilla. I think that'd be a good move for him. Like, I think that would be a pretty good one for him. Obviously, Monkey knows him. He's their sporting director now. He was at Roma before, so he knows him. And then we'll see if we manage to get a replacement in, I guess. But speaking of chopping and changing, the Udinese game, when did Ante Rebic turn into Messi?
Right at halftime, apparently.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was wild, you know. I tweeted, well, now 4 days ago, but at the time 3 days ago, it was during the Spal game, because Rebic started in that game, correct?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and
Side up front.
he did terrible, like he had done in every game prior. And I tweeted, I said, Rebic is ass. Like, I was fed up. I wanted him gone. And then he came on at halftime, and I'm so glad I didn't tweet because I was about ready to say some shit about him again. And 2 minutes in, he scores, and I'm like, okay. And yeah, he looked fantastic. And then he got obviously a winner with like 20 seconds left to go. So, but it was more than just goal scoring. You know, his movement was there. He was getting in the right positions. He was making the right runs. He was passing the ball well. He was doing a lot. So I was really impressed with him this time. And it's just another, going back to that competition thing I was talking about earlier, just another player taking the opportunity. Obviously hasn't done it prior, and we don't know what he's going to do moving forward. Madison, you said that when people start doing bad at Milan, we throw them in the bin, and we absolutely do. But another thing we can't do is let one good performance cloud our judgment and say this is who it is going forward, because we do that all the time.
I was hoping one of you two were going to say that, because since the game, everyone's been like, Rebic is amazing. I was like, you guys were all shitting on him last week, you know? So stop.
That is literally Milan fans in a nutshell.
Yeah.
And we've done it with Leao this season as well. You know, I said before that when he scored that amazing goal against Fiorentina to make it 3-1 when we'd already lost, it's like, it's great, but it's like all of a sudden, oh, this kid's the future. Like, he scored a good goal in a game that was already
that's the goal of our season still.
Theo's volley for me now.
Yeah,
that
100%.
That one
technique.
You guys, every game
had to beat
I predict a screamer, and this is the 1 week I did not do it, and it happened.
It was the 1 week where you just said, fuck it, AJ, you've been right the last few weeks, I'll just agree with you. And then I'm wrong, and you don't call your screamer.
No, it was a really bad first half, in my opinion. We didn't have the urgency. We didn't look like we had the it's this thing as well in it about us having Sunday lunchtime kickoffs. You know, it's like early hours of the morning for you two guys. It was 11:30 for me, which I still find it weird when a game kicks off in the morning my time. We always seem to struggle in these early kickoffs, particularly at home. You know, there's over 60,000 fans there. When they went 1-0 up early on, I tweeted before the game. I said, this is, 60,000 fans, Sunday lunchtime kickoff. Milan 0, Udinese 1 full time. And when they scored that early goal and it was 0-0 at half time as well, I thought, this is just going to be another one of those days. And our home form this season has been so bad, we couldn't manage to score against Sassuolo or Sampdoria.
That was our first win since Halloween at home.
Mental, isn't it?
I set my alarm for 6:30 in the morning, and it went off, and I was like, I set a backup one, and I laid back down, and I woke up, and it was 1-0. And I texted you guys. I was like, "Is it worth it?" And Ali, you're like, "No." And I was like,
No,
"I'm gonna wake up."
Yeah.
And it's a good thing I did, because it was an amazing game.
That second half had 4 goals. I mean,
I know
that was one of the best halves of football I've seen from Milan, or just in a Milan game in years. That was so much fun to watch.
It was fun. It was fun. It had shades in terms of the ebb and flow of when we beat Sassuolo 4-3 as well.
Yep.
This thing of us being behind and like, do we have the bottle to come back in this? Do we have the resolve? We've been shit at home all season. Can this be our potential turning point? And there's the difference. Zlatan was out there on the field. He didn't get his goal. He should have got that goal when he got put in behind, and he just sort of shanked his effort a little bit. I think the other 9 times out of 10, he puts that in the roof of the net.
I count
his presence.
Rebic's final goal as an assist for Zlatan. I know technically it isn't, but I mean, he chested it down and laid it off for him.
It was.
I have a question for you guys.
Hang on. Was that Zlatan who did that? I thought
Yeah.
Rebic chested it down to someone and then he got the pass back.
Mm-mm.
I'm gonna have to watch this goal again.
Yeah, it was Zlatan. Zlatan
If
also
it
had
was, that's absolutely amazing from him.
He created our only real chance in the first half. Granted, there wasn't a goal on it, but he created it. There was another thing that the ESPN commentator said, and I don't remember the exact game, but they said that this was our first game where we've come back from being one down, and I can't remember. I want to say it was right.
Oh,
Feels
it was
like
ages
was it
ago.
Bologna game? I can't remember. No, we went up early in that.
It was. I'm sure it was last season.
Yeah.
We have not played good from down this year.
The Genoa game. Genoa.
Oh yeah.
That was October 5th. So that was October 5th, and our last home win was October 31st. So we're finally back in reality. Welcome to 2020.
Okay, so
it was Rebic who chested the ball down for himself. I've just watched it back. Ibrahimovic passed it back to Zlatan. Ibra passed it back to Rebic. Rebic chested it down to Ibra, and then Ibra passed it back into the path of Rebic, and Rebic ran on and scored.
Yeah,
so
that's what I'm saying.
That's unbelievable. Yeah, I mean, it is an assist in theory, isn't it?
I mean, I would say so, but it didn't count as an assist.
No, but that was sick from Rebic, the control there. And one thing I did notice about him, he started wide left, but I feel like even though his starting position was out there, he was told by Pioli to just run directly to the right corner flag, as in like to run across the defensive line. And every time he did that, they just couldn't keep up with him at all. You know, we
switched to a 4-3-3 at towards the end. But Liao became the right winger. I thought
Liao moved to the right side.
To the right side, but it was Liao, and that really confused me.
If you look at that first goal, Liao, it was an amazing bit of play from him. He sort of controls the ball and, well, he pings a first-time pass basically straight into the path of Conte, who's running down the right side. Absolutely inch perfect, perfect weight, perfect direction. And then Conte, to be fair, good ball back across goal, and Rebic is making that run, like I say, across the defence, and he's just completely unmarked to thump it home. And then, yeah, like you said, towards the end of the game, the runs that I think with our front three interchanging as much as they were, that's what allowed the space to free up, you know. And you look at what Ibrahimovic does, he manages to drag two men out with him every single time because they know that he's winning those flick-ons and that they need someone to almost back up the guy challenging for the ball, because otherwise he's just going to flick the ball through on goal.
But also having two players who can dribble like Liao and Castillejo on the field is great because we can come at him on both angles. You know, it's not just Liao on the left side or Castillejo on the right side. And I think that's also making a big difference. But my question for you guys, how much of this do you think is Pioli changing tactics, and how much do you think is the presence of Ibra?
Ooh, I'm going to say 70-30 Ibra.
No, I'm giving Pioli credit. I think that we saw plenty of signs of improvement up until the Atalanta game, and that at the moment looks like a terrible 90 minutes in the midst of weeks and weeks of progress. You know, the evidence of that is now starting to come through the results, winning 3 games in a week, as we said, albeit not against, you know, the most serious of opponents. So I'm giving Pioli credit. And as you said earlier, AJ, I think his substitutions are just there. They're on the money. He knew to yank Bonaventura from that game at half-time because he just was doing absolutely nothing. Despite the fact he played probably his best football for us out wide left under Mihailovic in that 15-16 season. I think he got something like 15 combined goals and assists that season. I can't remember. Really good.
It was good. It was up there, yeah.
That was when we had like Niang and Baka up front, Honda on the right, or Suso. He didn't do great this time, and I think that momentum that he had coming back from his injury is sort of evaporated a little bit. And when we're getting towards that time now where it's contract renewal, his contract runs out in 6 months, where do you stand on it? Are you letting him go, or?
I let him go. I'm going to get flack for that because
you hate him.
I don't hate him. I just don't think he's ever been as good as our fan base says he is. And now that he's bad, and everyone's kind of agreeing with that.
I don't agree with that. He's had 2 bad games. Suso's had 15 bad games.
I've been saying get rid of
remember.
Suso since last summer. I mean, when we said we were switching to 2 strikers, I said there's no place in this team for Suso, and everyone's like, Trey Quartista, he could do it. And then we had 7 games of him looking like a fucking clown, and then we're like, oh, new coach, he's going back on the wing, he's going to do great. Give him a few games to warm up. And it's been multiple games, and he hasn't warmed up. So, anyway, Suso rant over. Let's talk about Castillejo's incredible
hang on.
flick. What?
We're not done on Jack yet. So,
One
thing I will say is that his legs, I don't think his legs appear to be as what they were anymore, and that's why he can't play the left mid role as well as he'd probably want to. And I think if anybody's going to be disappointed by his performances, it's going to be him the most. That being said, he's come back and he's played, I don't want to take a guess, but I'm going to say it's in the region of about 8 games now this season. And I think he's already played 3 positions. He's played left wing, left mid, central midfield, and I think he's actually played both centre mid positions. So I feel like he's not getting much continuity in any position, and if you're willing to give it to other players, then you should be willing to give it to him. But it's not exactly like we have people braying the door down for that left mid position either, because Çalhanoğlu, quite frankly, is appalling. I stand by that. It's all right because we're being bailed out on that left side by Theo Hernandez, who's currently now our top scorer. And perhaps that factors into the system that he's trying to set up. We can't have an out-and-out direct winger like we have Castillejo on the right because Theo bombs on as much as he does. But I extend Jack for probably 2 years if we
What
can.
is his salary on right now?
Good question.
I
mean, I've read something suggesting that he would be willing to take a pay cut to stay because he's not in his prime years anymore. Which would
2
be
years,
very...
that'll put him at 33 years old, right? He's 31 right now?
He's
about
30
he's
now,
30.
Yeah. He's currently on $2 million a year, so he earns the same as Musacchio, Calabria, Conti, just a little bit less than Rodriguez and Kessier. So he's, for someone who, in theory, should be due a loyalty bonus after 6 years with us.
If we renewed him at the same, I would be okay solely because of the loyalty bonus. I think his performance recently and the fact that he's coming off injury and he's going out of his prime would justify dropping him down to like 1.5 or something like that. But like you said, the loyalty, I mean, he cares about this club and I respect him as a man and a player. So I'm okay with him keeping that too, but there's no reason to give him a raise, in my opinion.
I'm finding it really difficult to think about the squad and in particular players who have uncertain futures. I'm finding it hard to think about that beyond this season because I'm thinking we don't even know who the head coach is going to be for next season.
Yeah.
If we don't get Europe, then Pioli's gone by
Pioli's
law,
gone regardless, I think. I
Possibly,
think.
Yeah.
Well,
I don't know. I would still let him, if he gets us into Champions League. I would let him stay.
Isn't that a part of his contract? Like if we get Champions
Europe.
League,
it's just
Europe in general.
I mean, we're 2 points off now. We're 2 points off, so he's getting close to an automatic.
Next week we'll be in 6th place. I guarantee it.
If we don't get Europe, there's going to be a complete rehaul of this team. If we get European leagues, he's going to stay because we need the stability.
But the other thing we got to look at is that sale. If we really are sold by June, why would they not bring in Allegri like the rumors?
There's been nothing in the news about this sale.
That's because it's done.
It's same every week with that. We keep seeing stuff and denials, and if you haven't read it already, then go onto our website and under the news tab, there's an exclusives category. Vito Angeli told us some stuff on behalf of a source close to Ariel Breda, who of course was our sporting director for many years, and then he went to Barcelona where he's still a scout now, I believe. But apparently he's one of the people that's close to the potential sale. Says that it's pretty much all agreed and we'll go through once the stadium project is approved, because that's a big part of what the Louis Vuitton group want to do. There's been talks with Allegri to come back. And I've just seen something today, and I think it's Allegri's agent has confirmed that he won't take another job until next season now. despite rumours that he was going to go to England. It's like, that sounds to me like he's got something pretty much lined up already. And yeah, Brady would go back as sporting director. Yeah, I think so. He might just be sort of putting his client out there. But yeah, it's interesting because we'd find ourselves in another dilemma. You know, we had this last season where we finished 1 point outside the champion. We were literally about 8 minutes away from playing Champions League football, and we could be in Inter's situation now if they hadn't got lucky there towards the end of that game. But if we managed to claw back this, whatever it was like a 12-point deficit to 6th. And what you said, AJ, about us being in the European spots, maybe by the next time we record, Cagliari are in 6th at the moment, and they've got Inter away next, and we've got Brescia. So
yeah,
you know, we could be in 6th by Friday night, and then it's over to them really. And Atalanta, don't forget, they've got Champions League knockout football to come. They're faltering perhaps ever so slightly, but it's going to be interesting. I think I agree with what Maddie said earlier. I think it's still a bit too much ground to make up for the top 4 spots, but if we give it a real run, and the team still look like they're enjoying it sounds a bit like childlike, but team still looks like they're enjoying their football under Pioli, and we still look like we've got a sense of direction. Things are still clicking. Then you've got to make the case. Do we want to rip it all up and start again for another year? And I think the answer to that is only if this takeover is going to happen, and we can get a guaranteed, proven name in who's going to bring some signings with him. Yeah, and that's that. What else have we got from Udinese? Theo Hernandez scored. Oh yeah, go on. Yeah, you want something to say about him?
Oh, me? Yeah, I was just gonna mention his sweet little nutmeg spinny move heel flick thing that he did.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Now, great way to describe that move: the heel flick spinny move, nutmeg.
Yeah.
Spinning 360. Yeah. I'm convinced that half the time players do this, they don't know they're doing it. They just sort of let the ball roll on their heel and they spin as a natural motion, and it just looks amazing. And I'm saying that as someone who's done it by accident before, and it looks.
Well, the thing is, when you're doing that, the defender they want to make themselves as big as possible. They know the pass is coming, and so that leaves the nutmeg wide open quite a bit because you got to widen your legs. And when you're doing a pirouette like Samu was, like you said, it's real simple to just go with the flow of the ball and flick it right at the defender because you know his legs are going to be wide open. Mm-hmm. So that's how it goes.
Someone hire this man as a technical coach.
Right. Youth team coach. AYSO. That's an American.
Don't know what it is.
It's American Youth Soccer Organization.
I thought that's what it was. I was going to say, is that what it means? But let's say, yeah. And the thing is with Castillejo's really long legs. I didn't realize how long and skinny Castillejo's legs are. When he's running, it looks like he's running at 100 miles an hour like Speedy Gonzalez, or it looks like he's running through mud. There's only one or the other, whereas Rebic amazingly just runs at the same speed constantly. I still think he looks really raw, does Rebic. Like, don't get me wrong, there's a few bad touches in there and stuff like that, whereas Leao, he's kind of ironed that out as the season's gone on. I think the ball looks almost like it's glued to him at the moment. Like he's playing with some serious confidence, and the bromance thing that he has going on with Ibra is just amazing to watch.
It's perfect.
So that was encouraging. Theo scored another screamer. I think he's legitimately got a chance of being our top scorer this season.
His celebration, man.
I think when Leo starts to see the net, he will score so many goals because there are so many times that he just takes one too many touches. And it's like, dude, if you would have shot before, you know.
Yeah,
he starts to learn that, you know, he will.
Yeah. I agree. That's his thing, too, because it's usually, I mean, we say it's one extra touch because he literally takes one, then shoots and misses. But every time he takes that one extra one, if in the replay, the previous touch is just like, that's when you shoot every single time. And it's really frustrating to watch, but it goes to what we've been saying all season. You know, he's young, he's got that immaturity level, but with Ibra coaching him, giving him that confidence boost, the bromance, like you said, the balls that he's receiving from him and everyone else now, like, I think you're right. He's going to start bagging them real soon here, and I doubt he becomes top scorer or anything, but I don't see why 6 or 7 goals on the season is unrealistic for him. I mean, He's got.
Do you know
Does he have one or two? Just the one,
Two.
right? Two. You're right.
Two.
Okay, yeah.
I look at him and I look at the way that we play, with this 4-4-2 system and the runs that he makes and the way that Ibra tends to drop in a little bit more and try and win the flick-ons and stuff like that. I think we're a midfielder. If we could find someone to put next to Benacer who held down their side of the responsibility, I guess, defensively, and could protect the right side of that back four, but also had a really good long range pass.
Almost like
we'd
someone
unlock
like
even more out of Leao
Bakayoko?
because just dropping those balls in. Bakayoko's passing wasn't necessarily his strong point. He was pretty good.
Passing was solid. It was really
It's
good.
all right, yeah, but I wouldn't back him to ping a 60-yard long ball over the top and just drop it on the edge of the area, and that's what I think we're missing. I look at so many teams who do it to us, like Udinese did with Lasagna. They just pinged it between the centre back and full back.
That's why you need Modric, man.
Yeah, but again, this is what I mean. We need to find someone who's defensively on the money. Someone like a Jorginho or a Kante kind of mould of player. Not that we're going to be able to go out and get them.
I think
from Strasbourg today.
Ricardo Montalivo's available.
He's not. He's not. He's retired, so he's technically unavailable.
Has he officially retired?
Yeah.
Okay, good.
I don't know. There's not
Took his headband
Rakitic.
with him.
Maybe I still think
He doesn't do many
Vidal.
long balls, though.
If
Vidal
Inter are
does.
dicking around with this Vidal deal, then why we're not trying to get involved, I have no idea.
Yeah.
Sell Paqueta, we can use that money to put together some kind of package because I don't think Paqueta fits into this
Do a
system.
swap Paqueta for Vidal or Rakitic, honestly, because I saw that there was interest from Barca today or yesterday, I think, for Paqueta, and I don't remember the source.
In a heartbeat.
I think it was
Real Madrid for Modric.
I would do that too. Modric took long balls, man. Plus, and he'd be surrounded by, he'd have Benacer and Samu's.
Yeah, but in a two-man, in a double pivot, in a two-man central midfield pairing, I just don't know if he has the legs anymore to kind of.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'd like to think so. I seen something today that said Inter are going to go back in for Modric in the summer. The signings that they're making to say they're in a Scudetto race are kind of baffling me a little bit. They've gone from Vidal and Spinazzola to signing Ashley Young, Victor Moses, Olivier Giroud.
Victor Moses?
Yeah, Victor Moses is joining tomorrow. He's in Milan for his medical now.
So they're just trying to raid Chelsea, right? They're just going.
Yeah, he's trying to build the team that he built at Chelsea, basically.
I mean, that's brilliant. That's exactly how he won.
Yeah, but remember what happened to that team the second season.
Well, that was more so Abramovich and the girl Marina or whatever not wanting to allow Lukaku and stuff. I mean, that he got Lukaku at Inter and was successful. He's getting everything at Inter that he wanted at Chelsea.
I don't think he'll be entirely happy though, unless he goes out and gets a decent midfielder. And I think it probably will be Giroud, but if not, then apparently they need another striker. We'll see, but I said all season I think you'd be stupid to bet against Juve every single time.
Oh yeah. They're 4 points clear now.
Into just have
8
these lapses. No, 4. But yeah, I don't know. Whenever you're drawing 1-1 away at Lecce or whatever, while Juve are winning games more commandingly now than they were at the start of the season, I think you'd be stupid to bet against them, even if they are sort of still going through growing pains under Sarri. So yeah, hopefully Inter do mess it up. We've got a game Friday night. Brescia away. Feels like a while since we've played Brescia away, to be honest. It's good to have them back in Syria. They're a decent club with good history, even if they are owned by Leeds' ex-owner. But we won't get into that. Balotelli's going to miss it, which is gutting. But, speaking of the
makes me sad. He doesn't play at San Siro at all against Milan. Just this whole season because he missed the first game too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I wonder if he's doing it consciously.
I doubt it.
I doubt it.
Yeah.
I bet he's consciously getting red cards, but I doubt he's consciously missing Milan games.
Do you guys think that he's going to stay at this team?
No. They're getting relegated. I doubt he plays in a second division team. He'll be gone over the summer.
Yeah, Brescian, they're sort of struggling a little bit. They started the season fairly well, from what I gather. I'm just going to have a look at their lineup.
I think they're 19th right now. No, I mean, they got Alfredo Donnarumma, who's not terrible. Definitely not like anything to call home and be terrified about, but he could do work on a good day. I don't know.
Sandro Tonali.
Tonali obviously is the star. I heard Juve's looking for him now. That's who we need to get, man. He can ping those long balls. He wants to play at Milan. Tonali's the real deal. I didn't think so last season because he was in Serie B, but dude, every time I watched him this year, I'm like, wow, he's impressive.
He could really definitely play in the midfield too as well, because at the moment he plays as a holding mid. Him and Benacer would be
the price tag. He's had so much hype, and Brescia will take. I don't know.
Depends.
They'll accept a lower offer because they make a lot less money than most, but they know what they have. And I don't think it's a case of like Chiaro saying Belotti for 150 million. I mean, I think whatever price they're going to ask for Tonali is going to be legitimate. We might have to make who knows, maybe I don't think it'd be 50. I know that's a price range that's been thrown around, but it's going to be more than 35. I guarantee it'll be a club fee if we'd go for it.
I think 40. 42. I think it'd be somewhere around about 40. Might get the job done.
Do you think we get him?
I don't think it'll be done in January. I think this would be a signing for next season.
Right, but do you think
they need him because they're as you say, they're in a relegation battle, so it would make no sense to sell their best player in January.
Unless we sign him and loan him straight back. I mean, that's what Juve do with everyone. They just did it with Kulusevski or whatever.
But if they stay in Serie A, they're going to keep him for next season.
Depends, doesn't it? Because you think about it, what is Brescia's end goal here? Do they want to develop a load of young players and try get to Europe in 2 or 3 years? Or are they thinking we could sell Tonali for maybe 40 million to the highest bidder, and we could get 4 players worth 10 million and instantly raise the level of our squad and give ourselves a fighting chance of. You look at Udinese, and I didn't mention it earlier, but I've been really impressed with them this season. They've been on a hell of a run recently, and I was really impressed with them on Sunday as well. I think they actually just play football the right way. They play 3 at the back, and they play to their strengths. I thought they looked really, really good. But you look at Udinese, who've gone from battling relegation last season. They've added a couple of pieces in the right places. You know, they've got De Paul back in form, and now they're they were 7 points off the European spots as of the end of Sunday. So I'm not sure what they are now, but they're doing a job. So I think it's perhaps a lesson for those teams that are struggling down there at the moment that you don't necessarily need to have a load of blockbuster names. You can just kind of get the job done with the right pieces here and there. But no, I agree with the Tonali shout now. It's a very specific midfielder that you've got to look for in a 4-4-2. But he certainly could fit the bill. It's just this thing of like, when you think about players we could go for in the summer, it's like, again, who's our manager going to be? It's so hard to
think a manager that wouldn't want Tonali, though. I think that's a safe move to make when you're unsure of your manager.
Danny Olmo as well. We might as well talk about that now.
Yeah, I don't think that's going to happen anymore. I think that's off the table.
Funnily enough, I think the most accurate report regarding him came out a little bit earlier today on the Monday from Corriere della Sera, who said that the feeling from within Milan is that they used this Sportske, who are like, a Zagreb-based news outlet who were supposed to be quite well linked to the club, that Dinamo used them to sort of leak Milan's interest into the media and try and get an auction going for him. Yep. And I think that's probably the most accurate summary of what's going on.
Exactly what's happening. I mean, we offered 30. I saw a few other clubs are supposedly offering 25, and Dinamo wants 30, which makes sense because why would you take a lesser offer? Our issue is this agent supposedly wants $7 million in agent fees, and then he wants like 15% of a future sale, or Dinamo does, or someone.
So there's the €7.5 million commission, which has apparently caused a bit of infighting because Dinamo want to sell, and they think that this commission is now holding up any chance of a sale. They want to sell now because his contract runs out in 2021, so they want to maximise the value they can get for him. That commission's basically blocking any deal going through. Not only that, but the rumor is that it's been built into his contract, and his contract was negotiated through Doyen Sports,
Doyen,
who
yeah.
you may remember as the dodgy
Mhm.
ones who take loads of players to China on these ridiculous deals.
And they were trying to buy us with not before Lee, the other guy.
Yeah, B,
Yeah, Mr. B.
Mr. B, Tish
Mr.
Outlaw,
X.
yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, apparently that it's built into his contract that it's actually got to be a 50% sell-on fee. So that's going to put any club off, really. And I have no idea why they thought it was a good idea to put that in there. Whether it's something we can work to write out of the contract, you'd hope so. But I don't know. It just all seems a little bit political to me. Deals with Eastern European clubs are never usually straightforward.
Now, let me ask you this. Would that be like if we were to buy him from Dinamo, the 50%, or would that be if we were to buy him and then sell him again?
The next club that he goes to would have to have a 50% sell-on fee. So we could buy him, and then if we sold him on for 40 mil, Dinamo would be entitled to half of that.
Yeah.
Which is just, why would you do that? That would just be utterly ridiculous.
Yeah.
But I guess what you're doing is banking on him then being worth 80 mil, and you've still made the profit on that investment. I think whoever does get it done will probably get it done for around about 20, 25 mil. I think Dinamo have kind of backed themselves into a corner a little bit with his contract situation and by making it known through the media that he is for sale. That's always going to drive a player's price down a little bit.
The thing is, he could just run out his contract, because no clubs, like you said, no club's going to want to do that. Well, I guess the buying club doesn't give a shit who the money goes to, So I don't know.
He's apparently made it clear already that he's not going to sign another deal. So it is in.
Yeah, he said he's going to sit out the rest of the season.
And also the manager, it's either the manager or the sporting director, I couldn't quite get a proper translation on it, has said he's not playing another competitive game for the time being.
What?
Seriously, yeah. They left him out of 2 friendlies in the past week, and the manager came out after one of them and said, we all know what's going on, a transfer is being discussed, and that got a load of Milan fans hyped up. But then it's come out that it's actually might be Leipzig or Wolves.
Yeah.
And Wolves like dealing with weird agents, don't they?
So one thing I could think of is that agent fee would have to come out of the total transfer. Like that's like say if we were to buy him for 30, then Dinamo would have to just really get 23 out of that because there's just no way we're gonna pay 37 million total to then sell him potentially for 40 in the future if things go well and take a 17 million net loss. It's just not going to happen.
Yeah, I think you probably take what you've just said there and flip it. Like we agree a fee with Dinamo of 20 million plus bonuses, let's say, but we know that it's actually 27. Dinamo knows it's actually 27 because of the commission that goes to the agent. And I think, I wonder if that's legally binding. Or whether it's just no, this is our demand, this is what we want, and we might.
I think it's a demand because that's common with agents. We see it with Mino Raiola all the time. Wasn't there a report that said he's made like almost $500 million in agent fees over his career?
Yeah, he's made so much money.
Very, 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 very good businessman, Mino Raiola.
Oh yeah.
I think he's a piece of shit, but good businessman.
As a human, yes, but most good businessmen are.
Yeah. I'd put it at about a 20% chance, something like that, of us getting Dani Olmo, and the 20% of that, the 100% of that 20% is purely on Boban. I think if he can just manage to win round that sporting director, Mamic, who is also one of his best friends, they played together in the Croatian national team, if he can just say, look, you're doing the right thing by selling him to us, here, we'll work out some kind of deal, then maybe, just maybe, but I've got the feeling that Dinamo and his agent are going to be greedy and they're just going to sell to the highest bidder, and I'm not sure that we can really do that. If we were to sell Suso in the next couple of days, all of a sudden we might have a little bit of money to play with. But after all that initial acceleration during the week, it seems like it's slowed down a little bit. So yeah, we'll see what happens. Brescia predictions.
I think it's going to be 2-0 for us.
Starting 11. Change to 11.
Yeah, I think Rebic deserves a start. I think he's earned it enough, especially given what Bonaventura has done. Obviously, we rested Hakan for technical issues or whatever Pioli said it was. So there's a good chance we see him up there instead. But I don't see why you wouldn't want to try Rebic after that performance. He absolutely deserves it. He may not get it going forward as a primary starter, but hell yeah, give him a chance. I think that's the only change.
Never thought I'd hear you say that.
Yeah, I mean, I like to be objective when I look at things, so sometimes it's cool.
Interesting.
Apart from Bonaventura.
I've always supported him when he's done well. I always root for him.
And Andre Silva.
Yeah, Andre Silva's the one I'll never be objective about.
We just keep reeling him off.
Those went hand in hand.
Balotelli.
Yeah.
Well, that's because he's the GOAT.
2-0.
We're gonna win.
2-0. Who scores?
I think Zlatan's gonna get another one, and just to throw a wrench into it, Benacer outside the box shot.
Oh, you're calling the screamer this week.
Calling the screamer.
2-0 defeat inbound.
I'm
Maddie, any
saying-
changes and prediction?
Rebic to start for Bonaventura. 2-1 win. And Ibra and Theo Hernandez are going to score.
Safe bet, honestly.
Two sort of lines you can go down. One is what I would like to see, and that would be Rebic to start. As you say, I think he's earned it. You reward players who are in form. But I do wonder if Pioli's going to do that. I think it perhaps compromises the shape of the team a little bit. He's great when we need to find a goal, because we've essentially got we've got 4 forwards on the pitch. But if we've got a 2-man midfield against decent teams, you get overrun. So I still think he's going to start with either Bonaventura or Çalhanoğlu if he's fit on the left. But everything else will be pretty much the same, I would imagine. Maybe Calabria comes in if he's fit. I don't know if he's going to be back or not. It's all gone a bit vague on that front. But he's got a full week to recover anyway. So yeah, we'll see how that one goes. And prediction, I'm going to go. I think we win 2-1. I think Donnarumma scores for them purely because of the headlines. Donnarumma beats Donnarumma. And I think for us, Castillejo scores and Ibrahimovic scores. And it never usually goes well when I predict a win. So sorry for jinxing it, lads.
Should we throw in predictions for the cup game against Torino, just because it'll be next Tuesday when our next episode will be coming out, so it'll be outdated. I don't know. It doesn't fucking matter. Whatever.
No, in a week we'll be recording next
Way
Monday.
to support your opinion there.
We'll record before the game, but the
we don't
episode
need to
will come
predict.
out as the game's over.
Yeah, do a prediction then if you want.
2-0. Just say the same thing. I don't know. I was just thinking out loud, and then
Sure,
You
I'm
look
gonna
a
be
shape
deadly
dog.
honest. I'm going to be deadly honest. I've got a bad feeling about this game. I don't know why. I just think that, obviously they beat us earlier in the season. And if we were at home, I'd say we're a banker. But I don't know. I feel like Torino will be well up for it.
We're at home. Aren't we?
No, we're not. We're away.
Not according to this, says we're at home.
That's wrong. What app are you using there?
FOTMob or whatever it is. I don't know. They report our news all the time, so shout out them. If you go to their news section, it's literally just
It's even a Tuesday, is it not Wednesday?
It's Tuesday at 11:45 for me, so I don't know what that is for you.
That can't be right. I'm sure we're away.
I don't know. I mean, if your app's saying we're at home, my app's saying that we're at home, I'm gonna say Madison's saying we're at home.
I'm gonna check
If
with
Google
my app.
says we're at home, we're probably
Yeah,
at
Google
home.
says we're at home.
Well, I would.
I'll have a look
Are
on
we-
the official website.
That says home to me too.
I reported the DiMarzio thing at the time that said we were away. DiMarzio definitely said we were away.
Well, he's
So if
clearly
we're at
wrong.
home, we win. Yeah,
Yeah.
get them then.
We're gonna go into the Derby on a 6-game win streak at all comps.
Oh, why have you said that?
We're halfway done with it. We're definitely beating.
Now that you said it on the
Mona,
pod, it
right?
means that you've officially said it. Like
So-
saying it before we record is okay, but
6 games. Let's go. When was the last time we were on a 6-game winning streak? It was like under Gattuso, wasn't it?
yeah, it was last season.
Okay, well, not as exciting as it sounds anymore, but
We went into the it was interesting. It was 4th game of the season, wasn't it? We went into the derby having won 2 in a row, and if we beat Inter in that game, we would have gone above them on head-to-head. And obviously we lost to go 6 points behind them, and it's kind of been bad ever since then. But yeah, derbies are weird. It seems to be whoever's not in the best form tends to play up to it a little bit more. But
Not the first derby this season.
Yeah, the better team won that one for sure.
Yeah, but yeah, they
What was
did.
it?
Yeah.
3-0.
2-0.
Yeah. I'll tell you what though, I'm super excited for this derby, man. I mean, Zlatan against Lukaku and Lautaro, or
I think they beat us.
I think they do too, but like I'm excited. How could you not be with the form we're in right now?
I don't like Lukaku and Martinez against Simon.
I think we have a really good chance actually against Juve right now. I think.
Let's wait till
Ibra
that
wants
week
to
to talk
smash.
about.
Yeah, let's probably we're
go.
veering off a little bit. We're veering off. Right, we'll run through some questions in what I'm going to dub the press conference section of the show. We got a question last week which I sent to Anthony and he failed to read it out. Once again, revealing his shortcomings as a host, but it's all right because I'm here to restore a little bit of order now. This comes from Ludwig Lindholm, so thanks for sending this in. How much do you think the absence of legends has impacted the players we're able to get in the Mercato? Basically, how much do you think the presence of Ibrahimovic changes our ability to bring in big players?
Complete 180. No one wanted to come here. It was just little kids that didn't know how to win, didn't care what they were doing, didn't know the way to the badge. They were just there to collect a paycheck and look popular to girls.
Well, fair assessment.
That's
a fantastic.
You sounded so like adult there. I was like, wow, is this the
and
same
so
man?
sure. That might be the most sure that I've heard you sound about anything.
That's
ever.
just how I feel, man. You got to have those people to bring something in. And we've seen the total change in performance now that we got Ibra. And we know the reports that we had from our Vito on the site with like private jets and nightlife and Ibiza and all this shit. Like, it shows. Nobody wanted to do anything. Now we're here.
It shows because he's our top scorer.
Oh, you're talking about Theo?
Yeah, Theo, yeah.
To be fair, I thought it was about...
Yeah, that's the thing is that he was already having a good season while all of this was going on, and now he stopped the partying because Ibra's come. He scored in 2 out of 3 games, so
yeah,
bang on, keep doing it. It is a big deal. It is a big deal. I think it's when you think of players who are on the outside, particularly players from countries abroad, and we're linked with them, and obviously we're looking at signing them either this month or in the summer or whatever. They're looking at us and they're thinking, oh, I don't know much about Milan, but they're in a bit of a mess at the moment. Oh, hang on, they've got Ibrahimovic. I think that does make a big difference. I think they want to play with someone like that. You know, it's like
especially
it's like
knowing it's the end of his career. Yeah, like every young star has watched Ibra their entire life growing up, and they say, "Wow, Zlatan's got like 2 years left in his career realistically, and I have the chance to play with him. Hell yeah, let's do it." You know,
Absolutely.
even if it's just a little bit.
Yeah. I looked. I mean, I don't know if you saw Erling Haaland's debut for Dortmund.
Mm-hmm.
He's got like a second half hat trick, and he looked
in like 18 minutes, something like that. Yeah.
And I just think if the rumours were true and we did try and get him, I do wonder if, you know, he's not Swedish, is he?
He's Norwegian.
Honestly, Norwegian, yeah. But they're all in that sort of weird Viking area. Yeah. But I just thought that might have been one of those perfect times. Obviously, Ibra wasn't officially there at that point. One of those perfect times for Ibra to say, "Come over out, you know, I'll show you how it's done for a year or so, and you can play alongside me,
exactly.
and just help." But yeah, I guess we'll see. You know, there's 10 days left of this transfer window. We'll see if we manage to get any more big name players over the line. I suspect that we'll do some stuff late in the window. Chengi's under, by the way, lads. What you think? Yes or no?
I'm super torn. I think it's an improvement, but he's injury prone, and I don't know if Castillejo's going to continue his great form for the rest of the senior season. So we definitely need someone there. Yeah, just do it.
Especially since Suso doesn't seem to be part of the plans.
Yeah.
What was the question? Keep or sell Suso?
No,
go
would you take Cengiz under?
No idea who that is.
What? The Turkish guy from Roma. We've been talking about.
Oh, under. My God, dude, I did not understand what you were saying at all.
He was saying his first name. That's the problem.
Oh, I was like, who is this guy? I'd take him.
Not a bit underwhelmed by it now. That might have to be it, to be honest, lads. It just depends. Like, if Pioli does actually want him and he doesn't want Suso, trust the coach. Just let him get his players in that he wants. Oscar Werner says, Ricardo Rodriguez leaving. Who do you want as a backup to Theo Hernandez? You don't have to necessarily pinpoint an actual player. Do you go with someone young, or do you go with someone with a bit of experience, perhaps, to help Theo push on? Or?
I feel like someone with experience is not going to want to come play backup.
Yeah, I would argue we don't need someone with experience at left back to help Theo, because we got a sporting director that's got loads of experience there that kind of knows a thing or two, he could say.
I'd say not
Vicky Nazara.
Not Robinson,
Exactly.
the kid from Wigan.
Yeah.
So
The
I've actually seen Wigan in the flesh this season against Huddersfield. I can't say that anybody stood out for them at all. They're literally going to get relegated from the second division of English football. And he was at Everton. Did you know that, Maddie? So you've already
and he
polluted
plays
him
for
as
the
a player.
U.S. national team.
Yeah.
So you're thinking, just sign him, probably.
I'm thinking stay away from him.
Yeah, well, so am I.
He plays for the U.S. national team.
Yeah, we need some stars and stripes in this team, man.
I'm guessing like nobody knows much about Aaron Hickey, but he's very, very well talked about over here. Liverpool and Man City apparently want him. He's a teenage lad plays for Hearts, who were in Edinburgh. He'd be an interesting one, if we wanted to sign players to develop. Perhaps he's one of those players that you could sign and loan out for like a little bit and have a recall clause on him, because like the thing with Laxalt is we can't recall him unless we're going to sell him. So that's ended up being a bit of a weird deal.
Yeah, that would be my suggestion if we would be recall him. But
for the rest of the season, he's not actually played week in week out for Torino, which is an interesting one. But I don't know. Juan Jesus is a weird one as well. Like apparently he might be coming the other way as part of the Cengiz under deal, because he can cover at left back and left centre back, but no, I don't really fancy that. I have no idea how to pronounce this. This is going to be terrible. I'm going to say Deba Idris says, what do you think about Emre Can for the midfield?
I take it.
We've been linked with him. Vito said today that he is actually an option, and he first said that back in like November. So I think it's always been there as a potential, and he's not even getting in the squads for Juve at the moment. Yeah. And I think he's still got something to give. I really liked him when he was at Liverpool, and I think Liverpool were a bit gutted to lose him, but he's on a huge contract at Juve because they had to prize him away. But on a loan, perhaps I think he could play in a midfield too as well.
I don't know, a loan and we do 50-50 on wages or something like that, or 60-40?
Possibly, because it doesn't make sense for them to say no to that deal because he's not getting registered for squads. So
it's not like we're any real threat to Juve's title hopes. So.
No. I think that's pretty much it. There's no real other stuff going on at the moment. It's all just sort of seems to be sales that might be happening, and that might be able to allow us to bring in a central midfielder and a winger. It sounds like the two we're after based on what Vito told us today. So stay tuned for all those kind of updates on the website. And in the meantime, I've been your host, Ollie Fisher. You can find me on Twitter at Ollie Fisher or at Kilpin Chronicle for some more explicit Milan-based rants. Being joined by Anthony Torgrud.
Yeah, it's been a lot of fun. Good conversation, good predictions, a lot of fun discussing everything this time around. So follow me on Twitter, guys. I'm 3 away from 2,000. So let's hurry this up. Get it over with. Follow me there at Torgrud45. Don't unfollow me, Ollie. And Madison, you're good.
Yeah, you guys can go ahead and follow me on Twitter. My Twitter is Madison_DT, and I think I have like 400 followers. So let's get me up there. 508. Oh no, that's how many I'm following. I was like, oh wow, that's quite a bit.
Yeah, go follow Maddie. Let's get him to 500 before 2021. No, thank you very much for listening, everybody, and we will catch you in a week's time.
Patrick, mettila in mezzo Patrick, palla nostra, Suso, tira Alessio, Suso, tira, perché non tiriamo? Ma perché non tiriamo? Gol! Alessio Romagnoli, gol! Alessio Romagnoli! Alessio! Il gol del capitano ancora all'ultimo, come Gilardino, detto ieri in conferenza.